It I
Okay,
start I count the start as committee of the Northern Virginia chapter, which is the organizational structure we have.
Who was the first? Because the woman that came to the anniversary party, the brunch we had, gosh, I wish I could remember what year that was. I didn't look it up. But remember, it was a blonde-haired lady, Valerie, and I think she was the first president because she was the one that was giving us a history of what it started out of, that it came from that Women in Construction group.
It was actually Designing Women
Yeah.
was the name of the group. And we
Okay.
met about once a month to tour a project site or an interesting building that had been built and had lunch together. And it was primarily for networking.
Marlena, do you remember the first president of it, the chapter?
Well, it was started by a woman that died. She had very young, she was like, there was a scholarship for her for years. I can't think of her name.
Herlong. Yeah, we had a
Kitten Herlong.
Kitten Herlong. There you go.
Furlong,
Yeah,
yeah.
she organized the first group in many, many years ago.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I know you were active so far in the beginning, Marlena, so far in the beginning.
I can still remember when the AIA sent a woman out to all the state conventions to meet privately with women architects to talk about what was it like for you? Were you discriminated against? Just to take the temperature. And there were people, I was living in Charleston, South Carolina at the time, and there were people that were threatened with dismissal if they went to that breakfast.
Wow. That's crazy. So just for those of us that don't know much of the history, remind, if you were a past co-chair, can you update your name with the year that you were passed over that you were co-chair? That way we kind of get a glimpse of that.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
I don't know how I got on the list because I was never co-chair or chair.
You were.
I've done a lot of stuff, but I never chaired the committee. So
You're on honorable chair.
Yeah, but you told me I needed to take over from Sonia, so you kind of guided me to be chair. And I wouldn't have taken it if you weren't my boss at that time and thought that I could handle it.
I call myself master mentor. So yeah, I see things that need to be
Yep.
done and I kind of coach people to do it.
Well, and tell
Sonia,
them.
Sonia, what year was your first year? When did you take over from me?
2008 when you were pregnant, when you had Thomas.
Okay, so I chaired 2 years, 2006 and 2007.
Yeah. Well, you chaired through like September. We switched over in September because that was when you had Thomas.
Yes, he was born on the 9th of
You
September.
chaired it to the last day, right?
So Sonia, you passed it over to me. Did I start that early? 2008? I guess I did. I went
No,
You did it
that's-
in 2013. I did
No, you didn't do it
I
in
was-
you didn't do it in 2008.
I was 2008 to 2013, and then Joanna, you and I transferred around 2013.
Okay, that makes sense. So after you, then it was me, and so I was 2013, 14, 15, and 16, and then I had April take it over because we were doing the Women's Leadership Summit.
Yeah, so I took it from you at the end of 2016. I think we transferred in like the summers or something like that because of WLS. And then I had 2017. And then I gave it to Becca Mesney, who had it for a couple of years.
So was she engaged?
And
We were
Becca,
always trying to create that transition or that regular ladder. Because I remember, Joanna, when I handed it to you, I was like, think of your exit plan now.
Right.
Like start
Yeah.
thinking now.
You don't
And
always
it's still,
stuck with it
I
for
know
4
still took
years.
you several years to get that figured out. But I mean, problem is you have such a great committee. But I think some people are, that's what I like about the structure you guys have right now. I think it can be intimidating for some people to think about, oh, I have to chair something. And whereas, I mean, it's really not that daunting, especially when you have a great committee around you. And I'm sure it's a little more, you coming in at the way you guys are doing, I think it's great. I love what you guys, the structure you guys have created. And I think it also really helps because everyone's got such great and different ideas, and having a regular changeover helps those things kind of keep changing over and getting all those new great ideas out there.
Yeah, I think I'll have to give Becca the credit for starting that ladder because I named April and I named Becca the following one, but it wasn't a thing like they were going to do it together. And Becca said, "Oh, I was so, worried that you were making me be the chair right away. I decided to study up with April." So Becca started that process of making,
And there's Becca.
right
Right on time.
I think there was also, so Becca had it for a couple years, then she brought on Katie Sellis. Oh, and there she is. Hi, Becca.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hey. Do I look okay? Yeah. Cool.
Anna, should we go through some of the other questions and just kind of have everybody just answer, or should we just go around? Because I am very interested to hear like more from the past chairs, a little bit.
It's very sweet of you guys to want that. Thank you.
Well, we're not an island, right? We all, are built on the shoulders of all the other ladies. And so what we've asked you all to do, if you're a past chair, is to type in the year as part of your name. So Becca, I think you're 2018.
Okay, I'll change my name.
And Eliza, you're 2006 to 2007.
Yeah, but I can't figure out how on my phone to do that.
Yeah, I can do it for you. So
Thank you.
2006 and 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was also 8 as well. We split the year in 8.
Okay.
And Marlena,
Kind of like I think Joanna's and my transition was somewhere in that year. I can't remember exactly when it happened either. We didn't do it we didn't do either one of those perfectly with the years.
Yeah.
April's here, right? Yeah, there she is.
Yeah. How about so Valerie, so Joanne, I can rename yours as well.
Trying to figure out why my keyboard's not working.
She was 2013 to 2016, Susie.
Okay, I think I can do it.
So April, are you counting? Did you?
2016.
April, were you the chair for 2 years, or were you?
A year and a half, because I took it from Joanne once they started doing the WLS planning.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure. Couldn't remember. I just know that you were asked to be chair. We were asked to be chair the same day.
Around the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was the same. Well, let me say it another way. You were announced that you were chair on the same meeting that I was voluntold to be chair by Joanne.
That probably adds up.
To be the next chair. Yeah.
Well,
Because,
the idea was to have a ladder. What you guys developed,
right,
is that you really did co-chairs, and so you had different assignments, but at the beginning assignment got you used to the situation, and so it was easy to hand it off to the next person. And
yeah, no, I'm very complimentary of the strategy, Joanne. I've used it several times since. And and I was doing, and you got lucky because I was doing that year of yes type thing. And you didn't know that, but that's
No, you told me that, and I took advantage of it right away.
That's right.
Well, I was going to do it, but you've given it to April, but I was all set to say yes. I said, well, guess what? You're going to be the next one.
Yep.
Actually though, so I think as a culture, as a history, our committee has been very good at having previous chairs assist the upcoming leadership. I don't think there ever been really a situation where that new chair has been left alone to figure out things on their own.
Right.
Yeah, we just formalized something that was already there, Valerie, in the culture. You're right.
That's not very womanly, is it?
Well, I didn't have a baby at that time, but there was a lot of situational things that I thought women do so well as co-chairs, being able to kind of juggle and adjust and, back one another up. I just thought it was, we're women on the committee, so let's try.
Well, it's a big committee. It does a lot of different things, and it makes sense that you can easily break down, what we're doing with all the different events into having people take leadership in different parts of it.
Right.
Yeah, because back in the day, Valerie, we were a committee of 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But we did a bunch of cool events though, and pretty big events too.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk about those events? What were some of your wins? What were some of these big events?
Well,
Valerie,
I don't know.
you
I
want to go
don't know if
first?
people look at, I don't know, Eliza, have you had a chance to look at what I sent in? I did write up some stuff about some of the events.
I did, but I think those are your events. The one that I did isn't on your list. So you talk about yours first.
Okay, I will talk about, well, I don't want to say I did, because there's definitely people who worked very hard, worked many, many hours in order to move it forward. And so just some examples of some of the ones that I think had bigger impact. We did a design award, a design competition, an exhibit, and it went on for many, many years beyond when I was chair. And what I really liked about it in many ways is it gave, thinking back about how far back it gave an opportunity for people, for women, for practitioners at all stages in their career. So including emerging professionals, which there wasn't that many opportunities back then, to have an opportunity to get their design work out there, have something exhibited of themselves, and whether that is with the general public, with the architectural community, with the design community, it was a great opportunity to sort of have people have a lot of opportunities to sort of get themselves out there. And that went on for quite a while. And then the other thing that we did that was sort of like bigger and certainly much more planning than a typical type of event that we did was our film festivals. We did that several times. We were fortunate and developed a relationship with the National Museum of Women in the Arts. I leveraged some connections I had. And then we did a lot of research to try to find films and encourage people to submit films. We were fortunate, we had directors who were willing to fly across the country to come out and speak on our panels. We were fortunate that we had some well-known architects that were willing to come out and speak on some of our panels. And it was a much bigger event than really, if you looked behind and saw how many people were putting it together. Got a lot of good press too. Got a lot of good press. Washington Post, National Public Radio. It was great.
Yeah, Valerie had a thing where whenever we had an event, you had to write an article up for the newsletter, which I found has been helpful when I've needed to go back, because I'm really horrible about keeping track. That's why I couldn't even remember what year I was committee chair. But you can Google online those old newsletters. So I'd Google the event and it would come up. So thank you, Valerie, for being such a stickler about writing articles about when we had events.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah. back when our newsletter was really did feature past events, we don't do that nearly as much anymore, where we don't show pictures and
No.
give information about events that have happened.
True.
They
More
just sort
time
of
on social
disappear.
media now, like after or the effect or something like that.
Yeah.
Valerie, what got you into it?
Okay. So, which is another point we talked about. I had an architect who I met who encouraged me to participate, and it happened actually really fast. It was like maybe 6 months. I went to 2 women in architecture events, and started to go to the board meetings, and within 6 months I was chairing the committee.
Who was chairing before you or at the time?
Susan Notkins.
Oh, okay. I was wondering, was that, I don't thought she wasn't a chair of women in architecture. I thought she was the state chair.
She there was a, what it was is Susan went to one of the national AIA events as the state representative. So she
Okay.
was our representative. It wasn't a state organization. It was going to national convention where they talked about, they had basically like the beginnings of women in architecture as a committee, because that's been an on again, off again committee at national.
Yeah, Susan was one of my professors at University of Maryland. She was actually a co-student. She was like trying to get a more of an advanced degree. She already had an undergraduate degree. And so she was a teaching assistant. And
What's her last name?
Notkins.
Yeah, she came to the brunch.
Woodward Notkins.
Yeah,
And
she
she
did.
came to the Women's Leadership Summit as well. We gave her
Yes,
an
she did.
honorary send-off for that.
She did indeed.
Yeah,
Now,
Yeah.
did she start it?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Did she start it?
No, she did not start it. It went back several years before that.
I had a list when we had, because we had the 25th anniversary of Women in Architecture. We had a brunch, and I had these glass awards made up for all the past committee chairs, and we had a brunch and we honored everybody. And there was a list because I did the research with Valerie on it, and we don't know what happened to the list because I gave all the stuff to Sonia. Sonia said she gave it to Joanne. I don't know if Joanne remembers having it or if it is somewhere else, somebody has it
So
somewhere.
back when everything was paper documents is the problem.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's like the Mission Impossible knock list then. We'll keep looking for it.
Every once in a while, I find random stuff, like random folders. I'll start watching to see what I have. Because every once in a while, I do find random folders of women in architecture stuff.
Well,
Yeah,
that would
I
be
think
good.
that I do have it somewhere. I just have to go back and pull it out of where it is. That's
So what
all.
year was it started?
We were talking about that earlier. We don't know for sure.
It's
But
on
Eliza,
that
you
list.
did a 25-year brunch. What year was the brunch?
Good question. Oh, we could probably Google it. I bet you could. It would come up because I'm sure we wrote it up for the newsletter.
What year was the brunch? Do you know that?
Well, no, I don't know. But if you Google
The brunch
women in
was during,
architecture,
the brunch was
25th.
during my tenure, because you did it while I was president or while I was chair or whatever.
Yeah, but you were
And
chair
that
for
you
5
organized.
years.
I
It
know,
would have
so
been.
I'm saying it's sometime in that 5 years. That'll
That's
narrow
not
it down for you.
helpful.
Okay, well, but we're getting closer. We're narrowing down.
We've
Fine,
narrowed it down.
fine.
Yeah, I have looked it up recently. I sent it over because I was asked that question, and I just don't remember what it is off the top of my head. But
Well,
I can.
I'm going to decide. I'm going to decide that the 25-year brunch was in 2010 because it's a nice round number. And then so we'll say, what is that? 85? Is that right? 1985?
Yeah, it was sometime around there.
I
Yeah,
think it
well,
was before that.
We know it was either
Because I think
1982 or 1988.
Hey, Kathy.
I think the brunch
Kathy?
was before 2010.
Well, it can be 95 because, oh, you said 85.
85, yeah.
85.
Yes,
Yeah, but I think the brunch was before 2010.
Yeah, I think it was.
It was
think it was,
early in
yeah.
my time at HDR.
Well, I wanna
remember
hit-
Before I
that.
got there. Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
hit the most senior leadership with a fun fact. I was born
Wait a
in
minute.
1980. So
I
I was either 2 years old or 8 years old when y'all started, somewhere in there.
have, don't laugh, you young people. I have, this is really bad. I printed my calendars from Outlook from, I don't know when, but probably all the way through when I was at HDR. So I can go, now I have a 5-year period to look through. It's not so daunting. I will go look at my calendars and see when the brunch was. And
Where
then
are you
we,
Okay,
storing these
19
calendars?
19
Why are you recycling them?
What I have from
I saved them for
Valerie-
things like this.
That's very smart.
Yeah, see,
Valerie's
things like this
email
validate
says-
orders.
1989, it was the first Women in Architecture Northern Virginia event she had records of.
Okay.
But that's where I
That,
have
that was at Building
records of
Virginia.
events.
That was at Building Virginia.
that, right, that's a record of an event. Before
Right.
that, we did send a representative to National Convention. But it starts to get foggy into the midst of time when we're starting to talk about before the back into the early 80s, right?
Yeah. Good times.
So let's ask one of the other questions and see some of your answers. I'm gonna
See, I love your haircut. It looks so good.
thank you.
I'm just like, oh, the neck, you look lighter.
It feels for sure. No maintenance. That's the best part of it. No time to brush my hair in the morning.
And it still
Like
looks
that.
awesome. It still looks
Thank you. So one of the questions that we had asked was, what was your biggest challenge while as an AIA, the Women Architecture co-chair? And I love to hear some of those stories, or if there was none, also let's hear it.
Committee of one.
Yeah, right.
That was probably the hardest thing, is because we didn't have, like, you guys developed this whole great group, like, committee that was actually a committee. But back early on, I mean, I did everything. It
I
was
think
not.
the problem is it went back and forth, Eliza. I think there was probably times that it grew and shrank. I think the last time it was small was like that was when Valerie handed off to you and you handed off to me, because it was small, and you guys, we were a committee of 3 basically. It was you, Valerie, and I when you handed it off to me, but Valerie was president that year for Northern Virginia, and so she couldn't be. I mean, she was there as guidance. I remember you guys saying, I'm not gonna abandon you. But that was like one. I think Eliza's absolutely right. Being a small committee, it was hard to get things done. But I will say that was like one of the challenges, but also I put down as one of my successes was trying to get that committee grown. And by the time, of course, I handed off, Joanne was coming regularly, Kathy was coming regularly, Teresa was coming regularly. There's a lot of people that were starting to come to the committee meetings regularly and helping organize the events, and we started Dress for Success. And as we mentioned earlier, even though Eliza stepped back as being chair, she did not step back and being involved. Eliza stayed involved all the years that I was chair and helping do all those events. I mean, I remember we did Dress for Success the first time at our office. We had so many, we had over 100 boxes closed. I mean, like, it was absolutely crazy. One of it was because we had somebody who's basically donated their entire wife's closet,
Wardrobe?
like she had passed away.
Oh.
Can I just tell you?
What do you
Can I just
attribute?
tell you?
Go ahead, Rebecca. Sorry.
The number of emails we still get asking about the Dress for Success drive,
So many.
even though it has
Contacting
literally,
him.
it has not existed since before I was chair, like before 2020.
But you know why
And-
it doesn't exist? And I've gotten yelled at, Rebecca P, by people going, why aren't you doing this anymore? And I'm like,
I know, I need it.
but
I know, they're not taking anything. I know.
correct, exactly.
I'm aware.
We have nowhere to put them once we get them. The place won't
we
take
gave
our
them so
stuff.
many
But I
quotes
don't
for
know
like
how
3
they know
years.
to find us. Why are they still emailing us? And who are these people that still think that we were doing it like 5 years later? I don't, that's my aside.
And then they get
It was a
very
lot of
judgy
fun,
that
too.
we're
It
not
was a fun
doing that
event.
good deed anymore. And it's like, we're not doing the good deed because the good deed people won't take our stuff.
Well, thanks to Sony, they will now take our purses.
Yes.
Well, that's what I did. Like somebody had asked about the Dress for Success, and I said, I'm sorry, they're not taking clothes anymore, but we have this purses for purpose thing going on. And they're like, oh, I don't have any purses. I just have clothes. Like, but sorry, it's not like I'm not going to take your clothes. So, and I remember Maxine, you helped like with the sorting party. It was at the chapter house, and there was so much clothes. I think Becca was there.
Yeah, I was there.
I was there, yeah.
And it was like, actually, some people were just like cleaning out their closet because there were some like yoga pants, and it's like, I don't know
Yep.
what kind of office you work at. Well, maybe you can't work where.
It was before the trend, right? Before we all actually did wear yoga pants to work.
I think,
So if
I wonder
you
how long
need
we did it.
to
Did
clean
we
out
do it
your
for like 8 to 10
closet.
years or something like that total? Because he did it for a while, and we even changed what season to do it. But I know we had to stop because they stopped taking it because I think we gave them so much.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
well,
not-
We even
Okay,
did Hampton
you guys.
Roads one of the last years. We even
Right.
got them to come pick up the clothes and take them down to
That's
Hampton
right.
Roads. I think
That's
that one of the
right.
final years we did it, I think the year I was chair.
That's right.
Um,
Can I introduce you guys to Maya? This is Maya.
Hi, Maya.
Yeah.
Hi, Maya.
She's 7. Anything you want to say?
I want to
to
get,
clean out your closets, there's a great charity called Women Giving Back that I'm part of in Fairfax. So they're always taking stuff.
Oh, I live in Fairfax.
Oh, yeah.
Where in
Okay.
Fairfax?
Women Giving Back. She put it in the
Find
chat.
address, but Women
Oh,
Giving
we
Back,
put it in the chat.
do
Okay.
volunteer stuff for underprivileged women.
Oh, cool. That's good to know. Women.
Maybe we can do it again.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
putting it in our OneNote
Yes,
so that we can keep that link.
that would be great.
Perfect. Thank
I
you.
want to
Casual
get
clothing
back
and
to,
professional clothing. I remember one time we had so many prom type dresses. We actually had donated them to one of the prom groups
Yeah.
because it's just like things we couldn't send them to Just Success. So we always had to organize it. We had some group that always went to like we had to take it to a more regular donation place, but the sorting parties were fun.
They
You get to
were.
see everybody and hang out.
I have a
Yeah.
sibling. I have a sibling that got a little jealous. This is Brian.
hey, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
I want to get back to the question of what are some of the hurdles? So I was sat on I was chair of the fellows group for a long time. And so I sat in on a lot of the board meetings. And one of the things, and I don't know if it's still happening now, was there was an expectation, it seemed, on the part of the board that the Women in Architecture Committee was going to run 80% of the rest of all of the programming. I don't know, how many of you were aware of that, but there was for a while, it's like, oh, the women in architecture are doing that. The women in architecture are doing that.
Well,
And I'm like, well, wait a minute.
there's some backstory with that though, because during
I mean,
some time
we
had
were, but my point is, it became an expectation, even though
Yeah.
the programming wasn't women directed. It was
Well,
expected that we were
sometimes
going to do
became
it.
negative because they were
Yes.
saying that we were using too much money. We will come to them to ask for money, Kathy. That was one of the things.
Yeah, that became a big problem when it was about the time when we were planning the Women's Leadership Summit. It got really tense there in some of the meetings.
Yeah, that's right after I agreed to be a chair in the future. So
Well, that
awesome.
was under me, so I had to deal with all of that. I remember having to go and stand in front of the board
Yep.
and ask for money for us to buy certain things. Essentially use some of the profits that we had made from WLS to buy like scales and things like that, that I just gave to Becca recently, for one of her programs. But yeah, I had to go stand in front of the board a couple of times and to ask for to use some of the money that we had and to even try to get some of the money rolled over
Right, that was
to the
thing.
next year so that the women's lecture series could already have funding based on the money that the leadership summit had raised, because it wasn't necessarily fair for the lecture series to have to come up and raise $3,000 when the leadership summit had raised way more than that. And so just because it was a new calendar year, so there was a lot of, as chair, standing up in front of the board and trying to get others to buy into something that was a little bit different than what the norm. Now that I'm on after that, I joined the board and then the XCOM, and so I understand it a little bit better now. And so I think that's why even Sonia and I, we're doing our best to try to change things, because we see some of the challenges that, have happened when we were there, and trying to make sure that they don't happen for you all as well. So, I mean, that was one of my biggest challenges, was that Joanne gave it to me and took 5 or 6 active members with her to the WLS summit. She took Kathy, Valerie, Marlena. I mean, she took Melissa. I mean, she took so many people with her. And then I was like, wait, what do you want? What do you want me to do now? And she took, so many great women with her. And we kept it going, but it was hard not having that core group that was giving so much advice and had so much history on the committee. And then after that, they all needed a break after the summit. So then it was like, they didn't even come back in 2017. They were all like, no, we still need a break. Well, a well-deserved break, but that was definitely a big challenge, losing that continuity and losing that history.
A challenge, but the opportunity in that challenge, I found, April, as I shadowed you and I, was that, and Valerie told me a sidebar as well that helped sort of, I don't know if Valerie remembers, but it kind of was like, I felt like the Don Corleone giving me her blessing to make this our own. And it was like the parking lot and kind of where I worked at the time. And I don't know if she remembers, but I was definitely like, did I just get like anointed or something? Like, what just happened? And then I told April, because April and I are a good combination. We're a good team because we're very opposite. And when I told April, she brought me right back down to earth and explained what happened. And she wasn't even there, but she just knows. So the opportunities that we had to really make things our own, have a fresh eyes to the whole thing, and fresh optics and energy. The energy that was coming in behind us was which I did not have the energy that was needed, but I fed off of the people that did, that were coming and excited about social media and excited about the graphics and excited about things. And my biggest challenge was that there were so many people that wanted to do things. It was like herding cats a little bit. And it's sort of this like, don't kick a gift horse in the mouth, right? So you want to make sure everybody's like, feels heard and feels supported and feels all the things. So I don't know that I did physically anything, but I tried to make sure everybody felt empowered to do whatever they wanted to do. And so, I mean, I remember one day, like, the one thing that I think I did or contributed was like, I was like, what can I do networking wise as a working parent of little kids? All of these evening events don't work for me. All of these all-day Saturday things don't work for me. Half-day whatever don't work for me. What would work for me? And it would be a lunch. It would be, I can sneak out, get a quick lunch, network. Yeah. And I remember describing this at a meeting, not thinking much of it. And it was Melissa Daniel that just was looking at me and had the same face she has just walking down the street. But she goes, why are we doing this now? And I was like, I don't know. I just was asking, you know. It was very cool to like have that kind of like support right away about an idea you have. You know what I mean? It's like a design idea, you know, it's like to get the support right away is like, it's palpable. You just suddenly you have the momentum and the motivation to make it happen. But the my result was that I was running out of time. The pop-up lunch was about to happen, the first one, and I was supposed to do, nobody had done graphics yet. And I'm walking down the street from one meeting to back to my office, and Rebecca Costanzo calls me out of the blue. We had just met at some of these, you know, meetings. We didn't work together directly or anything like that. She just called me up or texted me rather, maybe email, doesn't matter. She goes, I have a little bandwidth this week. Do you need any help with anything? I was like, yes, I do. And she was responsible for the first graphics for the pop-up lunches that we did for that very first time. So thank you, Rebecca C. Shout out. Peace.
That was fun.
Before I get we get too much further to pick up where Kathy left off. One of the things that I noticed about the board was that they kind of felt this thing like, why are we funding you when we aren't even invited to your events? Do you remember that?
Oh,
Kathy?
yeah.
And so we really went out of our way on the Women's Leadership Summit to try to make sure that they knew that men were invited. And I think we still only had like 5 men that we like dragged them in from HDR. But we tried to be very inclusionary. I mean, I think that's an important change that happened as a result of that dealing with the board.
Well, we always told men that they were invited to things, and they still didn't show up. And we had a pretty good showing. I want to tell you guys about the one event that I did when the AIA turned 100. What?
Is that where they showed up at the distillery?
No, I was talking about the AIA's 150th anniversary, and they had funding for a specific number of events, and you had to apply. And I did the Women Creating Community at the National Museum of Women in the Arts with Elizabeth Plater-Zyberg, Susan Maximum, who's the other one, and Catherine was the fourth one. And we had this whole event and reception. But the cool thing is that we got funding for it. And it was like, I put in several events that we applied for the money, and we were the only, it was the only event that Northern Virginia got money for that 150. So.
And we got like news coverage I remember sitting next to the newspaper reporter from the Post.
Yeah.
Yep, we leveraged the relationship we had with the National Museum of Women. Yeah.
It was well attended. It was attended by people that weren't architects, if I remember.
It was huge.
Like regular city people there. It was really, really good.
It was cool.
I still have some pictures of it. I wonder if we shouldn't try to collect people's pictures.
Yeah, I kind of mentioned that. We need a place to keep them. There's a folder on the drive that has a bunch of headshots. And then we also have been collecting headshots for the last few years doing the 30 by 30. So they're there.
I was thinking more not of headshots, but of event photos, events that we've.
There are some folders of other events too. Like we just had a tour that we threw the folder in, and actually I found the folder where we did the women, the Dress for Success, and I saw like at the old where I saw Maxine and all these other people that we did that one. So they're there. I guess
that's actually a good point. We should tell people that if they do have photos from all the events,
yeah, well, if any
might not be on there that.
Yeah, if any of you has any photos that you have in your personal computers or drives, feel free to send them to me or Carla or even Anna, and we'll put it in our WIA drive, so then we can keep everything in one place. And obviously, if you can give us a name and a year of the event or time frame, and then we can keep the folder name with that and keep all that history going.
I would really like
I
to
think
see.
using old
thank you,
meeting
Susie.
minutes and stuff, if you have the original Word document, even if we don't have, even if it's PDF. Like I probably have a lot of PDFs actually on my laptop that I probably can I could upload to the drive there.
Susie, that's really awesome. I really appreciate that. And Anna, and my question becomes, AIA Nova is revamping their website and they're going to put funding towards that, towards a professional doing that. Thank you, Brian. It needs to be a little bit warmer. Thank you so much. I think we should take this opportunity to rope that in and say, here's our Google Drive, here's our events. Please like have archival footage on the WIA website. Is my
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
because that is what got me coming. Is I saw an event and I saw photographs from it and people were smiling and seemed cool. And I was like, okay, I'll go. I'll just check it out.
well,
It's
going
true.
back to your
Yeah,
original,
actually, go ahead, Joanne.
going back to the original questions that Anna sent out, what was your biggest win as co-chair was the Women's Leadership Summit. But my biggest challenge was actually before that, was getting a logo and branding for us. And then finally getting a newsletter. And Kathy, as I can see her banging her head, we tried so hard for so many meetings and extra meetings and all of that at HDR in the old building, trying to get that logo designed and trying to get somebody to do the communications. Now, I think Melissa Daniel was really good with, Twitter and some of those things, but April, you did most of it actually, because you really got it in full swing. But we needed that branding in order to really sell the Women's Leadership Summit. So that was my biggest challenge.
Well, there's been challenges with getting the rest of the chapter on board with we seem to want to run ahead with our communication.
Yeah, that's it. I remember on that website when they first did their website and they only gave us like one page and we couldn't put very much stuff on it. I was like, heck, we'll just do our own.
And that's how we got into social media. We're like, okay, they won't let us do this on the website.
Right.
What other media can we use?
But then they came back and said, we don't want you doing social media. So then,
yeah. And then they got
I
a
think
social
that's
media
the hope
police,
with the
which
new
was actually
website, though.
Anna, you were the social media police for us. You were introduced that way, but you actually segued it in so easily that people weren't afraid of it anymore.
I think that's the hope with
afraid
the
of it.
new website, though, is that it gives a spot for all that, because our current website, as we all know, desperately means the whole chapter's website desperately needs to be revamped. Will give the opportunity for committees, especially women in architecture, a place for these things, because our current website's not set up that way, and it's so cumbersome to change things. So I think they're trying to make it user friendly for the committees as well as the staff, and so I'm really looking forward. I know that's definitely on April's mind for next year, because we couldn't
You
get
go,
this
April.
year, but that is definitely high up there for next year, for everyone's sanity. Everyone.
Yeah. I'm actually pretty glad it's going to happen under me, because that was how I spent the other half of my time being chair. So I spent half of my time being chair asking for money for the committee, and the other half of my time being chair complaining about the website and how we couldn't add photos, because even what you all have done even more recently with the women lecture series and being able to add like the headshots, and things like that of the women and their bios, we couldn't even do that when we early on. It was text only, like no photos onto that website or calendar page. And then it was almost like we had to tweet everything that we wanted so that the tweets would come up onto that page and actually showcase what we were doing or trying to promote. But we couldn't put it onto that website. So I'm actually really excited about the website, because it's actually kind of like full circle for me to go from complaining about it to now being able to put something in place for you all to use.
April, you should track the progression of that as like a case study for how to fucking get shit done. Because sorry to be so blunt, but it's like just, it might take a few years, and you may have to, get on a board or two, but it'll get done. It'll just wait.
It's come a long way though, from when I used to buy bright colored paper and make postcards and have to go through all the chapter members to pick out the women so we could send postcards about, like, when we first started the happy hours. We would send postcards to people. We didn't have, we didn't have social media and emails and all that madness back then. I mean, I sent lots of postcards.
Well, Liza, we should do a throwback Thursday where we just like pretend it's 1995 and do everything that way
On
for like
telephone and fax.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh no, then you might have us quit if that's the case.
Yeah.
I mean, once you tested the easy stuff, I don't know if you can go back.
Those that come up with the idea have to implement said idea. So that's my idea. I own it.
Okay, sounds good. Well,
Andrea, you got that
actually,
in the notes, right?
So go ahead, Anna.
No, I was just saying, Andrea, you have that in the notes that she's gonna do it, not us, right?
Yes, I was actually going to wanted to go around the room with the other half of the group that is not a previous co-chair, that just kind of wanted to hear a little more about when you started being part of the group.
Yeah, I
And
see some new faces.
yeah, and how long, and then also for some of the past co-chairs to learn about our group, a new group right now. And then we have Dahlia, she's our new social media, and she's been doing a great job helping us with all that. Andrea, it's helping us taking notes and being able to send you all notes afterwards so that you can stay informed even if you're not at the meeting. Sonny is always helping with so many events, and Rebecca, she's helped with the 360 this year. Marilisa, she always helping us with the events, and Tuba, you help with the lecture series. I mean, everybody here has done so many great things. So why don't we hear from everybody a little bit? Feel free to mute yourself and just share like how long you've been with the chapter or when you wanted to join.
You know what, Susie, I can start since I'm gonna be the next co-chair with you.
Go.
So
Yay,
yay. So actively this year, because since I took this sabbatical, this was like my only one connection that I had with architecture, and I didn't want to lose that connection. So I said, women in architecture is going to sustain me until I come back. So I'm coming back, and I'm glad that I took that decision because it really inspired me. I was at a point where I was about to give up, and you all just inspired me. And I said, no, I need to keep going. And then I saw Kathy and Joanne, which are familiar faces when I was at HDR, and they were doing women in architecture back then, but I was so busy trying to, survive life and motherhood that I never jumped into it. But I remember seeing them working hard on it. So that's why I'm here.
Very nice.
So many of us share that same sentiment, Carla, of just coming here for hope and finding it.
Yeah. Anybody else want to share? Sunny, how long have you been part of the chapter or the group?
Well, I've been, actually, it was the pandemic that brought me back. Off and on, when I had a practice with a friend from, I don't know, the late 90s through about 2010, I probably went to maybe just a handful of meetings at the chapter house. But I think it was during the pandemic that through Anna, that, especially during the pandemic when we were all remote, and in terms of just engaging with other people, it was a great way to do it. And then, so that's when I came back, so to speak. So, and it's been fun.
Yeah, great. Who wants to share? Maxine, how about you?
I think I started, I think during the recession, 2009. And then I think I took a break because back then I said yes to everything and got a little burned out. So now I'm back. Anna's encouragement. She's always got good ideas. Yeah, it's always good. You guys are just, yeah, very inspiring, that's for sure. So.
And you and Marlena have been great at helping us with the book club this year, and it's been great. I personally haven't read any of the books, but I know that the events have been successful. And I am looking forward for next year, because that's one of my 2023 goals, is to read a few more books. I'm going to use the book chat as my push to read the books.
Yeah, definitely. I have to say, like, some of the books I never would have thought, because I have a very small, I guess, group of authors that I read books of. But yeah, the books have definitely been very interesting, very eye-opening. And I never thought they're not usually books that I read. So definitely, if anyone's interested, read the books. They are all really good. And that's coming from someone who doesn't veer off much from, British authors, as Anna would know.
How about Tuba? Well, Tuba, you left us for New York, but you're still part of our group.
Yes. I also started attending the meetings during the pandemic, so 2020. In general, I got more engaged with AIA during that time, and before that I wasn't much interested in AIA, but once I started attending meetings, I found such a good community and great network here that I was like, no, I need to do more of this. And even though I'm in New York now, I still feel connected to the NOVA chapter, and I've sort of continued my WIA journey to the New York chapter now. So I've been attending a lot of events here. And it's been so much fun. We did the walking tour, we did the virtual map, and I was actually noting down things that we did with the WIA. So it was quite a few things, and it's been like really great. And it wasn't like a long time, only like 2 years, and I've done so much. So yeah, it's been so much fun.
Yes, actually, Anna and I was talking about the link that we need to keep resharing it, because as we get more members, I feel there's still a lot of the group members that don't know about the map that you and Katie did, and I think it's wonderful to share. So we're gonna share it we should share it with the notes from this meeting.
Yeah.
Marilisa, share with us how long you've been in this. I personally don't know, and then you all year seen you helping us.
I remember the first meeting I ever went to, and I just graduated from college. I got home and my mom's like, I'm going to this thing, you have to come with me. Like, okay. I had no idea what I was going to. And this was 2012. And I got there and I was like, oh, this is so nice, because I was a new, just like a fresh fish, just not knowing where I wanted to go with my profession or anything. And then so I got there, and we have this meeting and they're electing a chair. And they're like, you're so young, you should be a chair. So I was like, what? I got so scared, I remember. And I have so much appreciation for our fellow chairs here, that did so much. And then we negotiated that I would just be social chair, and that worked out. I stuck with that.
That was back in the time when we were actually going to happy hours, and you were just so great because you knew all the great spots. We needed that youthfulness to get us to all the good places.
She still does. She's still the one that helps us with a lot of the pop-up lunches and happy hours and summer social and finding great places.
I took a little break. I'm trying to get back into it again. So I'm always here to help. But yeah, I'll never forget that meeting. It's, then I was like, oh, this is such a nice group. And then I kept on going back. I was not forced the second time.
Oh, thank you. Let's hear from Caitlin.
Hi, so I work with Dahlia at RDC, so she kind of always puts it in like our staff meetings and stuff. Everybody kind of works remotely there, but some people like, can go to office from time to time. But I live in Louisiana actually, so I'll probably never be at an in-person event or anything, but it's been nice to just kind of connect with people that are like-minded and women in architecture and stuff. I recently graduated from Louisiana Tech in May. So I'm definitely new to architecture in general, but we had a WIA student chapter at our university, and I was sort of involved in that. So again, it was also a lot of remote stuff with COVID and everything. So I'm just excited to kind of learn more about it and get involved where I can, even if it's remotely and stuff. And I really appreciate Dahlia extending that invite and letting everybody know about it.
Welcome. And
congratulations, Caitlin.
Thank you.
And we do a ton of our events are still virtual, so you can still help plan and coordinate events. So you're more than welcome to volunteer anything. As next 2023 is going to be packed, and Anna later on when we're done she's going to share some of the stuff we have planned for next year. So it's going to be great to have new faces, new people come and help with that. But now let's go to Dahlia.
Hi, everyone. So I joined the Women Committee meeting and the group actually in 2019. I was new in the country and at my job, and I received this invitation from my IA, and I was like, it's cool. I would like to join. So I joined in person the first time. It was 2019 again, and I attended few meetings. Then COVID and pandemic hit, so we moved to virtual, and I was pregnant with my baby, so that's why I was not fully attending all of the meetings because of overlapping with something else that I had, and I was on the maternity leave too. After that, I rejoined the group, and I feel like I am so thankful for everyone because I'm learning every day from every single person, and I feel like it's such a support group that keep me connected with architecture and with women, and everyone is so special in here that I feel like you're my family somehow. So it's it's the place where I look forward every month to join and see and hear from everyone. So thank you again, and thank you for all of the co-chair members, and you've done a lot, and just by listening to all of what you have done, it's keep on pushing us to give more to this great community, and looking forward for more.
Thank you, Dahlia. Let's see who we have. We have Rebecca C. I also don't know how long you've been part of the group.
Let's see, it was during the April Becca era.
Like the Kennedys.
Yeah.
I'll take it, April. I'll take it all day long.
I don't even know how I ended up I think I do remember. So one of my coworkers was dating Caitlin, I think, who was working in Old Town. She's now moved back to somewhere rural. I can't remember where, but anyway, I went to a meeting and I sat down next to Teresa, and there was also a girl from my grad school, and I was just like, this feels so amazing. And it has always felt like a group of friends, and I look forward to it. It's never like, oh, I got to go do a network thing or a, professional association thing. It's something that I genuinely looked forward to. And it was a community I hadn't found in DC of friends. So yeah, just really good vibes. And then I will also say during the pandemic, the amount of programming that I guess it was Rebecca and Anna created was unbelievable, and definitely was like a anchor for my happiness and sanity and connection. So thank you for just pumping out those events. It was like, you know, when Zooms were not, I don't know, it was at first Zooms were novel and then they were like stale, but somehow these events have always felt really fresh and, you know, human. So thank you.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, we have two more. Let's do Andrea.
So I think I've only been part of I may be one of the newer members of WIA, Women in Architecture. I'm the opposite of some of the comments that I heard that they were taking on too much extracurriculars and such. I was very much the drone who wanted to focus on what I had to do. And then I had 2 kids waiting for me at home. So there was no extra time for anything else. But then I started branching out within my old company and taking on philanthropy committees. And then when the pandemic hit, there is the void, which we've all experienced in one form or another. So I really sought out Women in Architecture because not only the camaraderie, but I've experienced a lot of gender bias. So hearing from you all and your experiences and actually having a female perspective on everything that has to do with the building industry, with our locality, it's just so refreshing to me. And I need that personally. Want to make sure that I'm not so isolated. So that's what you all do for me, and that's why I'm participating.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. And last but not least, Kelly.
Hello, everyone. I moved to the area just last summer, so it's been barely a year and a half since I joined you all. So also very fresh. And tonight's meeting has been incredibly informational. The chapter I came from was much, much smaller. So like they didn't have a women in architecture committee. They had just formulated, I guess they're calling themselves equity and diversity, but it was kind of meant to be like a women and minority group. So everything just being like fresh and new on that front, and then coming here and tonight learning how far back your history goes has been very inspirational.
Very nice. Thank you. Where was this?
Buffalo, New York.
Okay.
So it's AIA Buffalo, Western New York.
Very nice. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing I think that I am more inspired now than I ever been inspired being part of AIA since I've been part of AIA before when I was in New York City and now part of AIA. So thank you for all you've shared today. I'm excited for the year. Huh?
What about you? Why don't you share what brought you?
Well, I moved when I graduated school in 2013, and I literally that same summer I started being part of the AIA in New York City as I graduated from City College of New York. And I started working at a firm a year later, and her name is Jen Stencil, and she was the co-chair of the Women in Architecture of the New York chapter at that point. And so she was kind of like, hey, you want to come into the Women Architecture group? And I said, sure. And then I started going to events, and I was one of the social media helping with that back then. Then I moved here in the area, and I said, oh, I'm sure going to continue being part of Women Architecture and AIA. I always felt that I just wanted to be part of this community. I signed up to be an architect, and I wanted to be around other architects that will inspire me to continue on being an architect. And I just felt that AIA was that outlet to have that community. So I just wanted to be, but for one reason or another, I kind of stopped being involved with the chapter for maybe 2-3 years. And then at the end of 2020, the pandemic, I just focused on finishing up my exams. And I took like 3-4 months to all I did was that. there was nothing else in my life. And then when I finished, I said, well, I think I'm ready for something new again and to come back to the chapter. And then I knew that WRI was the place for me. So I started to join the meetings and the events. And then at the end of 21, when they were calling for a co-chair, I was like, why not? I'm just going to throw myself out there and do my best. But I already had experience. I was also involved with my community HOA. So I had been the president for that as well. So it's just something that I don't know, I like to give my time to groups and to people. And I just find that if there's something that I'm good at that I can help, but then it also gives me back with all in other ways. And that's really what I do it. I get inspired, I get excited. Like I get it when I hear somebody say that they get inspired about an event, or they did something, came out positive of something that we put our time into it. That's really what it's about. What is for me. So I'm excited.
Good juju.
Yeah.
Good juju. I will credit April with this quote. She doesn't say much, but if you listen, everything she says is very important. And one thing she said at the first holiday party when she was the chair was her speech of thank you to everyone type deal. She called us a fellowship. And I've never heard a better word for this group than fellowship. Well, thank you, April, for that.
Thank you. You guys are all wonderful.
Oh my God, let's be the fellowship.
You're tearing up a little bit, right? It's a little bit.
I like that.
Do you guys remember SNL? Mike Myers, I'm verklempt. Coffee talk. Talk amongst yourselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I got it because I mean, it was one of those words that you actually learn at church, you know, and it's like, you go to fellowship, but that's how I felt being around you all. That was actually coming to fellowship with you all and learning and being inspired. And so I'm glad it touched you and stayed with you. And I mean, seeing what Rebecca P. and Susie, all of you all did, you know, after, you know, Beth and I mean, like, you all came in and took it to that next level that we had only hoped for with the social media. I mean, just the way you all run the meetings and the way that you all use technology to send out agendas and things of that nature. I mean, that it really needed you all and the people who were really up to speed with that level of software and to pull us all together and keep it moving in the fresh ways. And so, I mean, I really kudos to you all because this is really still continuing to grow and to move forward because of you.
We had yes, I totally agree with April and concur and on all the things. But we had a steering committee meeting. April, do you remember that? And we haven't had one since, but that was always the idea that we would have one every few years. And we had one, and it was led by somebody with experience in steering committees. Anyway, and one thing that came out of that, and I got a lot of I felt like I got some side views, like, really, Becca, which was one of my because we were like, what's the biggest idea you can think about for this group? And my idea was a world view, a connection with other countries, a connection with other people around the world. I have no idea how that was going to happen, but that was my big idea. And people were like, okay, well, calm down. And I'm like, okay, calm down. Well, that's what y'all have done. You've set us up as a worldview committee. And, you know, we are an example at the board level all the time and state level, I should offer, all the time, and national level. We are example, the things that we do and how we do it are examples of how to do it correctly. And I think we should all just really be tremendously proud of that. And anyone who's new to this, you got a leg up, girl. You got a leg up because you take anything that works in this to your company. I want to raise. I want this. I want that. You know what I mean? It's going to make us all successful.
And
you
we
guys
really
have it-
did have a worldview back when Melissa Daniel was doing her women's, whatever it was. I
Lecture
forget-
series.
The lecture series, because
Mhm.
we had people on from Japan, I believe, Australia. Yeah, so we got to get back into that as well.
Yeah, we did some from
worldwide
Africa.
presence. Mhm.
Yeah.
The other thing I just want to acknowledge, you guys, is that Valerie, behind the scenes, and most of you don't even, I mean, I'm sure Marlena and Joanne understand this, but she's always been the one that whispered in someone's ear, we have to keep a woman on the board. We've got to keep women in leadership. She's always, she inspired me and motivated me to get involved, and she continues to do it. You know, like Becca's story about Don Carleone, it's true. Like, because Valerie's always been the one that's like, we have to have a woman on the board. We've got to keep women on the board I just wanted to make everyone aware of that.
Totally.
and make sure that gets in the record too, because she's been so motivational for leadership in women in our chapter. And again, she went on to national leadership. I've moved on to state leadership. So, you know, it is a good breeding ground for leaders in our chapter.
Very true, Eliza. And yeah, and coming full circle back to the beginning, it's such a nurturing, safe space to fall and bump your head and get up and try again in those roles. We, you know, it just can't echo that enough.
So ladies, I want to take a quick screenshot where everybody's not looking away or like thinking out loud or something, so I can put it on the website next year. Yeah.
We all unmute so that the unmutes aren't there, or?
I don't know if that matters, but if you want to, like,
Just
everybody
wondering.
can do it once.
Valerie, are you able to turn on your camera or no?
Oh, no, really, not.
I love that Valerie's the only one without the camera, because it really is like, it's the dawn. It's just like what Eliza was just saying. She's the dawn.
It's
She's
Valerie.
there. She's
The
there.
Godfather.
That's okay.
Okay.
Godmother.
Because
Godmother.
Kelly showed her face and other people. So Valerie's the only one not doing it. It's awesome.
All right. Ready, set, awesome.
All right.
All
Anna, do you want
right.
to share?
It's really funny to see everyone's faces. We're like, okay, but stay still, smile.
Anna, do you want to
I
share?
laughed so hard when I saw everyone.
So
That was
yeah,
fun.
sharing our screen because I'm
Oh.
not sure who the genius was at the board. I don't know if April, you can take credit, or Sonia, but they decided to
Jack-
get a hero board.
Jacqueline. I gotta give credit to Jacqueline. She's a genius on this one.
That's
Okay,
right.
so this is
Yep.
our year in
That's all
review.
Jacqueline.
All
You should see my
right.
screen. Look how much, so we're purple and we're on top. And look
Yes.
at, I don't want to just compare us to everybody else, but look how much stuff we got going on versus the rest of the committees. So I'm not bragging, maybe it's a little humble brag, but this is kind of our year in review. So Carla, Susie, and myself got together. We started thinking about the events that we had and what we wanted to do next year. So this is kind of our year in review. So every year, every month we're gonna have, we've already planned, we've got some hybrid meetings. So in January, Misa and MDN are gonna host us. Then we'll have some virtual. So we'll have, every meeting will have the opportunity to be hybrid, but in person in January, we're gonna do a potluck. So feel free to leave work at 1 p.m. so you can go home and make a potluck and come to the meeting.
Is that going to be a family friendly event?
It's gonna be at MGN, so
Always.
if you can,
Sure, dogs too.
Maybe I'll leave Simba at home. Simba may be a little bit much.
okay.
Around all the
You
food.
cannot bring your turtle.
Oh, yeah, I'll bring my turtle. Mhm.
Uh-oh.
Turtle too.
Ashley
Even
would
mine
be
is on
afraid
my
of your
hand.
turtle.
He's
So we've
My
got,
turtle is not very friendly.
how many people have turtles? Really? Okay. Oh, wow. I think we need to have like a turtle meet and greet or something.
The turtle race.
It's the University of Maryland thing. Sorry, guys. The Terps.
So we've got our monthly meeting, and we've already got in-person meetings planned at MTFA in April, and then
No,
Shalom
sorry.
Baranas.
Shalom Baranas is April, and
Oh.
then yeah.
Thank you. And MTFA in September. So then the rest will be completely remote, and we've got a great group of spotlights already planned. Courtney, who's unfortunately got a deadline tonight, couldn't make it. So, but she's already looking at 2023. We're going to bring back the Jedi in real life, which actually the group that I'm with Next to Lead, which is like a national AIA program for promoting ethnically diverse women. They've actually did something really close to that at NOMA Unplugged. And I started talking to some of the ladies, and that they want to do more stuff. So I think that whole idea of global, Becca, is we're getting there. We're going to have more AIA groups join virtually to have this really just kind of a Jedi informal discussion about what your firms are doing, or what are the challenges you're having, or something like that. So we've got a few of those tentatively scheduled. We have some book chats starting in May. We kind of skipped the first quarter because there's a lot going on in the first few months. So we have a little time, Maxine, hint, to help plan what's coming up. And we've got a few pop-up lunches, scheduled, some construction tours. April is our architecture month. So we have a few things going on there that we potentially can share with the general public. Our Women in Architecture lecture series, we already started talking about what that could be last month, because every year I want to start planning ahead a little earlier, because it always seems to catch up with us right at the beginning of the year. The 30 by 30 is in March. So if anybody's interested in helping and volunteering with that, Katie's been really helpful the last year. And then Rebecca P. and Susie really helped step up and, trying to get all the women that were nominated. And I got to tell you, it was so inspiring to read like all the nominations from all of the different people who, selected somebody. And so I think that right there is another reason to get involved, because it was a really just uplifting kind of thing. So we have a sweatworking series. Last year we did it with ULI, Women's Leadership Institute group. And so we did 4 different events, and we're hoping that even if we do it by ourselves, we could do it. We have a summer social probably in August. We don't have meetings in July and August. And then getting back, we'll have our, hopefully, Sunny, we're going to have a professional headshot event next fall. So we wanted to do it during COVID, and it was just too hard to do because, there was so many regulations and so many places that we couldn't do it. So we're really hoping that we can partner maybe with ULI to get a rooftop somewhere and like sponsor headshots for people who need it, but just have an event that we can provide it for younger women or people who just need a refresh. So hopefully that'll happen. And then moving on, we still have a couple of the other quarterly type things, and then our holiday event for next year. So you're planned. We're done. So
but you need to weave in, when is Women's Leadership Summit, and also the AIA conventions in San Francisco?
Yeah, we didn't have those dates. These were really our events. So I would say probably June is AIA National or Convention. Is that what their conference? That's what they're calling it. And I don't know. I just got an email today about volunteering, or call for something.
Yeah, I did too.
WLS 2023. So that's Boston, but I'm not sure if it's October.
It's Boston. Oh.
Boston is like, they're the OGs.
They are.
They created it. That's amazing.
Yeah, so this is our year in a nutshell. I mean, it was I think really good to do it this way, because we really were able to like visualize it all and see things. And if we had too many things going on in a month, we could kind of push it out. So really excited that we're using Miro, and we're actually using Google Docs to do our budgets. And I mean, it's just like taking it to the next level. So way to go, Jacqueline, for making us more organized.
And I just want to add that, well, since Anna is passing on to past chair, I will be sending the invites starting January. So you'll see it coming from my email. So I just wanted to give you a heads up. So I will be sending a couple of concurrent invites as always for our, every Monday. And of course, whenever it's hybrid, we'll we'll let you beforehand so that if you can join in person. But we try to give you an idea of where it's going to be way ahead of time. Like we already have the 2 places. So thank you, Sunny, for hosting us in April, and then thank you,
No problem.
to Misa, for hosting us in this coming January. And I don't think I have anyone from MTFA, but they're going to be hosting us in September. So
I am.
yes, you are.
I'm at MTFA now.
Thank you. So yeah, we wanted to get those, as soon as possible so that you can plan ahead if you wanted to try to attend in person. I think it'd be wonderful. We can always try to do a quick happy hour, if anything, with whoever attends after, kind of like informal, doesn't have to be anything, that you must. But it's always great to do social events. And then the other thing is we do want to, I think we've had 2 construction tours. We just had one last week and it was wonderful. And then one a couple, earlier in November. They were both wonderful. And we want to do a lot more of those. So if you have any job that you are involved in, that, has a great team and a great, obviously, woman in architect or woman in construction, or, we had structural engineer that were females in both of those projects. So that was also very inspiring. So we want to promote more of that, but even if, if it's your firm that's doing a great project, not necessarily if it's your team, just please let us know. And we like to plan those ahead of time as well, and we can promote them. I mean, this last one, we had like 20 people, Anna. That was great. It was wonderful tour.
I don't know if any men worked on that project.
Yeah, we let them, but yeah.
Okay. Because even the punchless contractor was a woman, like everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't take no bull. She's good.
I liked her. I could tell. She walks around like a boss.
So who did their connect the dots? Did you all figure it out? Did everybody figure it out?
I did most of it, yeah.
Very good. So what is it? Rebecca, did you do it?
Sagrada Familia.
Hey, I didn't want to say anything when you said it at the beginning.
I know. I didn't want to say anything either, not to spoil it, but it was, I have mine here.
Sagrada de Familia. Sí, grazie. Oh. That's my favorite architect.
I wanted to say before we close out, we need to give a big thank you to Anna. She is officially rotating off. This is her last co-chair meeting. I just can't even say all of the things about how thankful I am for you coming on, and then us finding Susie and bringing her on, and now we have Carla coming on, and now you get to rotate off. And I know you were so worried about having an end game to signing up for WIA. So I'm very glad that you get the chance to rotate off. And I can't even say how thankful we are for you. So
I thank you, Anna, very much. I tried to get Anna on his chair, but she had just come off of her 15 years of YAF and was like, no, get away from me. Yeah, she was April, very much like, Wonder Woman. I shan't, but I'm glad I'm super glad you revisited the idea.
Yes. Your level of proficiency, Anna, I cannot learn enough of that. Oh my God, you just have everything on point. That I told Carla, her and I need to work 2 times as hard just to keep up with the big shoes that you're leaving right now.
I'm not going very far. Don't worry.
Yes,
I'm
you'll
here
still
for
be
you.
around, but no, thank you for sure. I've learned a ton from both of you, Rebecca P. and Anna, this last year. So I'm very, very, very thankful for having been part of this committee at the time where you two were involved, because I definitely learned a lot from you. So thank you for that. And I hope that I can keep on carrying all the greatness that you've built in those few years.
I have full confidence in all of you. Yeah, I'm just so, I think this group is amazing. After our last meeting, I was I was smiling and having a, in a good mood. And my husband was like, what what's wrong? He's like, why are you such in a good mood? I'm like, these women inspire me. I don't know. I always leave these meetings with a high, and I'm just so grateful for you all and your friendship, and just being able to work with you on different things, and it really, really means a lot. I'm crying.
So, Andrea, do we have a future woman architect among us?
Oh, with Andrea?
Hello. Where'd she go? She disappeared.
All of a sudden shy.
Yeah.
Well, I know we've run over, but it's been a wonderful year and a well-needed love fest. So thank you all. I really appreciate all the kind words, and you all inspire me, and I hope that we can keep inspiring each other for many, many more years. I consider you all my best friends now.
Are we? Wait, what's the Will Ferrell line in that movie of Brothers? Did we just become best friends? Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for the special invite. This has been awesome to have us all back here, and to have these down memory lane and talk about the history, and also to see you transition it off, Anna, especially being that, you were like, I'll do it, but I want out in a little while. And so, but no, again, you all have transformed this, and we can't thank you all enough for what you all have done in the last few years in transitioning this. So kudos to you all again, and thank you so much for the invite.
No, thank you for coming and sharing some of the experiences you've had, and what it was like to be a co-chair back in the day, right? So thank you. That it's been very inspiring for me, for sure. And then it's like, now I feel like I have no right to complain about the 4 hours a week that I put into it, because it's still pretty relatively easy compared to some of the things you had to go through.
Everyone's journey is different. Like Anna, my husband, I showed my husband the list of questions that was being offered and how many past chairs were going to be there. And he was like, that's going to be a long meeting. Like 2 hours of people taking questions. I was like, yeah, we'll see I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it'll be fun. He was panicking.
Well, we're almost there. So maybe this is the good time for us to let you all go to continue on your evenings and continue your life. But thank you. Have wonderful holidays, all of you. And
thank you all.
Looking forward to seeing you in person on January.
Potluck, January.
Potluck. So wait, Anna, so everybody brings a dish?
Yeah, and I can help organize that. I'll put together, I can help put together kind of checklist where people can tell what they're having and then check it off. And then there'll be a couple of different options, and then it'll kind of cut off that list. And then it moves.
All the PTA and all the people who do all the potluck things in my neighborhood, they use Sign Up Genius and request certain things, and then people sign up for them. So that might be helpful, but I'm bringing it. Yeah, I'm bringing the appetizer with the crackers, the dip with the crackers.
All right, I'll reserve that for you. I'll be crossed off already.
January 9, right? January 9.
Yep. January 9 is our meeting. Yes.
6 p.m.
Yes, that's a good point. It's not the second, which is technically the first Monday.
Well, keep in mind, if you all are January 9th, that's a board meeting. So we need to work out who's going to we got to work out the Zoom.
Right.
That's true.
But ours is later, so I think it could be fine.
Okay. Well, we need to just make sure with the overlap, because there could be a few minutes. So there could be a few minutes of overlap.
We'll coordinate. Yeah.
We'll coordinate. Just plan accordingly, April.
Yeah. Maybe we move it half an hour or something like that.
Yeah, April, it's your meeting.
April, that's on your watch. I don't have to worry about that.
No, that's on me. I'll try my best to end on time, but
you always do.
Hey, you
I try.
I try like a boss, man.
So maybe like at least a little 15 least a 15-minute gap or something to make sure that, you know, we
That's
have
a-
some.
Yeah.
voiceover.
We could do
No,
that.
that's a good
Yeah.
point. We can start at
Parking
6:15.
around the office.
And probably that's actually kind of the reality, that it'll start until 6:15, because if it's in person, we'll be arriving there at 6, putting everything together, and then
Yep.
finally putting up the laptop and just signing up.
And you have to eat. You got to make your plates too.
Exactly.
You gotta eat.
We need
Exactly.
to have a snow date because January is usually the worst time of the weather.
February too.
It's a good
Yeah.
point.
February.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Where
Yeah,
is it
snow
gonna
date would
be?
be
I
February.
remember getting stuck at a happy hour.
I do too. I remember that as well.
The mosaic got stuck. We got stuck in the mosaic
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
at True
We
Food
ended up
Kitchen.
facing the opposite way on 66. And
Yes.
someone slid into.
Yes.
Nice
I'll have to
one.
leave at 3 o'clock to get to there from Baltimore.
Yes.
Where
It's
is it
15.
again in January?
McGinnis
It's
January-
over at my, well,
January
our
9th.
office.
Oh, okay.
It's over,
North
just
Old
in
Town.
North Old Town.
I know where it
Yeah.
is. I used to be in that
Mhm.
building
Yeah,
many moons ago.
good. I remember.
And Carla, congratulations and thank you so much for being a future chair. I'm so
Yeah.
excited
Yeah.
for you.
Time to give back.
Oh,
Yes.
that's sweet. Well, thank you for your service. Thank you all for your service.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
All
All right,
right.
ladies.
Bye, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Bye.
Happy
Next
holidays.
year. See you
Bye.
next
Bye.
year.
Bye.
Bye.